Hi, and welcome to this video series with the Community Renewable Energy Grant Program. My name is Jason Knaus. I'm a program analyst in what we call the CREP program.
And hello, my name is Clay Deckard. I'm also a program analyst with the CREP program.
Thank you. Clay and I put together this series. This is to cover the key application sections and questions. We're not going to be going through every single one, just the kind of the key questions on the application for both planning and construction grants in the video series for each. And this is more focused on what you'll find under the competitive review scoring criteria in your particular opportunity announcement. But first, what we want to do is just kind of do a brief overview of the CREP program, and we'll go ahead and just jump right in. House Bill 2021 established the CREP program, and its intent was to offset costs of planning and developing community renewable energy projects, to support projects in traditionally underserved communities throughout the state, as well as to promote small-scale community renewable energy projects and provide direct benefits to communities across Oregon by improving energy resilience, creating local jobs, promoting economic development, and reducing local energy costs. And next, I'm going to let Clay talk about the program's budget priorities.
Okay, the legislature gave us two main budget priorities in the CREP program. At least half of the funding must go to projects that have a reliance aspect under the program definition and rules. And we'll cover this in details later in the presentation. And the second priority is that at least half the funding must go to projects that primarily serve members of environmental justice communities. And we'll get into those details as well as we go through the presentation.
All right, thank you, Clay. And you'll see this particular graphic published on our website. This is a breakdown of our particular programs and the maximum grant award for those programs, as well as the maximum eligible cost percentage for the reimbursement of a particular program. I just wanted to pay one particular note to a construction project that is renewable energy only. That is still the maximum grant award could be up to $1 million for that project, but only 50% of those eligible costs up to the $1 million. And additionally, a couple of really important program notes, and that's that grants will be awarded on a competitive basis and will include performance agreements and time limits for both starting a project and completing a project. And that's within both the planning grants and within the construction grants. And then that competitive review basis, we will get into more details in the next video about the importance of that competitive review process as it relates to you and your application. Another item that we really want to point out at the front end here is that grant funding, if awarded, grant funding is paid to the grantee or the applicant and may include up to 30% advance, with the rest reimbursed to grantee after the project is complete and the final report has been approved. On construction projects, that would also include a site inspection. The grant may cover eligible costs incurred by the applicant as shown via paid invoices as part of the final report. And Department of Energy payments are made to grantees only. So grantees should follow their own procurement and finance policies when working with any partners. And next up, I'm going to go back over to Clay. He's going to talk about some of our program definitions that are very important to pay attention to.
Okay, I've got a sample definition up for our main definition of a community renewable energy project, and this is right out of the House Bill 2021. I put this one up. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to point it out as all of our projects need to fit into this definition. And this also includes those projects that have a resilience component. And then we have more detailed definitions for the resilience components, which we'll get into next a little bit. So here we have what community energy resilience is in general, and then what a community energy resilience project is. The summary of that is that the systems must provide power in a grid outage And the system must support critical public services to the community, must support facilities essential to the public welfare. And so as you can see, CREP has very specific definitions. And I want to take this as a reminder that you go through and you read the Oregon administrative rules for this project. The links are on our website. You can go back even and read the whole section. There's only like 3 sections in the bill that covers the CREP program. Read those and you'll see how all of them are related and condensed into the opportunity announcements. And so knowing the definitions is key to having an eligible and competitive application so that you aren't speaking to some generic industry definition, but you've actually dialed in to these program definitions.
Excellent. Thank you, Clay. And you'll find during the course of these video presentations on either planning or construction projects that Clay and I will continually remind people to go back and read the bill, go back and read the rules, read your opportunity announcements. That's going to, along with, and maybe even before finishing up this video series, it's going to create a more successful application. I just want to jump in, and this is also in the bill, is that the eligible renewable energy projects for CREP are solar, geothermal, hydroelectric, wind, biomass, landfill gas, biogas, wave and tidal energy systems, as well as ocean thermal energy technology systems, as well as electric vehicle charging or EV charging, as long as that is paired with a new renewable energy system or an existing renewable energy system. And as we move into our eligible resilience components in tandem with a renewable energy system, those would be energy storage, such as most predominantly batteries or battery backup storage, and microgrid technologies. And I'm going to go ahead and bounce back to Clay, and he's going to talk about one of our key program priorities and benefits.
Okay, so we covered the resilience, which is that 50% budget priority to those projects that have the resilience component. The other 50% budget priority relates to qualifying communities, which is one of our definitions. But all that definition does is point to the definition for environmental justice communities in House Bill 2021. And that's it in its entirety. It basically just lists these types of environmental justice communities. The CREP rules do not have specific definitions for these individual types of environmental justice communities, including, rural communities, communities experiencing lower incomes, for example. ODO understands that definitions vary across government entities, and so applicants may decide which definitions to use, and you must detail and demonstrate how your projects are in an environmental justice community, and separately, how and to what extent your project serves the members of environmental justice communities. And we'll be looking for you to explain which definition you used and any other details about the quantities of, the size of the community that you're helping, or the dollar amount of your program that is dedicated to those communities. The more detail, the better the application. We also have all of this stuff is competitively reviewed and on a scale. So you can get partial points, you can get full points, you can get no points for these different criteria. And so a great place, again, to start is the review criteria that are in the opportunity announcements. We also have additional resources on our website that gets to more around the different government websites that define these environmental communities in different ways, depending on the agency that's defining them. All right, now we're going to get into who is an eligible applicant. All right, so very specific for this program. It's Oregon, federally recognized Oregon tribes. There are 9 of them in Oregon. Consumer-owned utilities. And then a whole list of public bodies as defined by Oregon Revised Statute 174.109. But this includes cities, counties, local service districts, sometimes called special districts, public school districts, community colleges, public utilities, and others. There's something like 43 listed in that Oregon revised statute. So take a look. The links are in our documentation.
All right, great. Thank you, Clay. And as we're getting close to wrapping up this first video, just going to do a real quick rundown of our application process. And that begins after you go through that and fill your application out, is submitting that application. And then that your application will go through what's called a completion and eligibility review from internal Department of Energy staff. People like Clay and myself will be looking these over, determining the eligibility. Those projects, those applications that are determined eligible move into what we are alluding to, the competitive review process. And as you would see in your opportunity announcement scoring criteria, that review process will go directly through those criteria over project strength and feasibility, program priorities and project benefits or community benefits, and as well as the equity considerations that we're talking about. As well as just the general project diversity, both the type of project, the location of the project, and the state. And so that's kind of a brief rundown. I'm not sure, Clay, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just one thing to wrap it up. First of all, that first part, application submission, this current round, the deadline is February 15th at 5 p.m. And each round stands on its own. So we compete, and because the rules allow the program to make adjustments and changes between each round. And so always read the opportunity announcements, read the rules in the application, read our user guide, because there are differences from round 2 than there were in round 1. So pretend like it's a brand new application in effect if you're coming from round 1. We also recommend that before you start an online application, and even before you watch the rest of these videos, it gets into more details on the application questions and scoring criteria, is that you first thoroughly review the opportunity announcements that fit your project and the application user guide that's posted on our website, and that you take that information and you spend some time offline, either creating your project, or if your project is already set, writing your application a little bit and gathering your information before you even bother starting the online application. Then watch these videos, because we give some really good clarifying information where you see overlap between sections in the application and the question. Our follow-on videos will help you decipher some of that. Then when you're done with all that, and you feel like you've got all your information gathered, maybe you even started writing some answers based on the user guide, then you're ready to open up an online application and start putting in that information on the online portal to complete and submit an application. That's just our recommendation. Thank you.
Yeah. That's a great advice, Clay. And even if you were a prior applicant and you're coming back in to resubmit that project for this second round, we still recommend going through this entire process, reading that documentation over again, making sure you're double checking that there on the application changes and new requirements within the application. So that's all excellent information. And I'll just because it is very important, I'll reconfirm what Clay started with, that for this second opportunity round, the deadline to submit your application is on February 15th at 5 p.m. And with that, we just want to always remind everyone that if you have a question or have some comments, please get in touch with us at community.grants@energy.oregon.gov. And with that, just want to say thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the subsequent recorded videos for your project.